The Galaxy Court was silent when the sentence was spoken. The chamber was filled with hundreds of alien leaders, their scales, feathers, and shells shining under the pale lights. They all looked toward the small figure in the center, a human. Woman. Her name was Captain Alara Voss. To most of them, she was dangerous. To some, she was terrifying. And to all, she was guilty. Her crime was simple. She had resisted them. When her colony was attacked, she had not bowed. She had not surrendered. She had fought back with everything she had, and for that, the alien council wanted her gone. But they did not want her simply dead. No, death was too easy. The High Chancellor raised his hand, his long fingers sharp like blades. His voice echoed across the hall. Captain Alara Voss, humanity's last soldier. You are sentenced to the singularity. You will be thrown into the black hole of Vela, from which nothing escapes. The chamber buzzed with cruel laughter. Nothing escapes a black hole. Not light, not matter, not even hope. It was the perfect punishment. Alara stood tall, her face calm, her eyes sharp like steel. She did not beg. She did not cry. She only whispered one sentence that made several alien leaders shift uncomfortably in their seats. You should pray the black hole keeps me. The guards dragged her away, their metallic grips tight on her arms. She did not resist. She walked. With them, silent, as if she already knew something no one else did. The prison ship that carried her to the edge of the black hole was massive, armed with weapons designed to crush rebellions. It was escorted by warships, each bristling with cannons. They feared her, even in chains. Through the viewing windows, the black hole grew larger and larger. It was a wound in space itself, a hungry shadow devouring everything around it. Stars bent toward it. Light stretched and broke. The very fabric of reality twisted at its edges. The guards shoved her into the launch chamber, where a capsule waited. No one survives this, one of them muttered, his voice almost trembling. Alara only smiled. That's what they said about everything else I faced. They sealed her inside the capsule. The countdown began. The engines roared. And then silence. The capsule shot forward, straight into the mouth of the beast. Darkness swallowed her. Whole. The prison ship sensors followed her descent for as long as they could. Her heartbeat was steady, her oxygen levels normal. No fear. No panic. And then the capsule was gone. The aliens cheered. The council declared justice complete. Humanity's last warrior was erased from existence. But space is not simple. Black holes are not only destruction, they are gateways, torn edges of the universe, where the rules of physics bend and break. Inside, time does not move as it should. Reality does not behave as it was written. Alara felt it at first. There was crushing pressure, a weight that threatened to break her body apart. Then came silence so deep, so endless that it felt like her soul was being stretched into infinity. She should have died, but she didn't. Instead, she saw light. It's not ordinary light, but threads of it, weaving through the darkness. As if the black hole was not death, but a door. She reached out, her hand trembling, and the threads wrapped around her fingers like they knew her, like they were waiting for her. Her capsule broke apart, yet she was unharmed. She floated in the void, surrounded by strange shapes, shifting and endless. She heard whispers, not in her ears, but inside her mind. They spoke in no language she knew, yet she understood every word. You are not consumed. You are chosen. Her lips curled into a smile. For the first time, she realized the aliens had not destroyed her. They delivered her to something greater, something older than stars, something powerful outside. Days passed. Weeks. The black hole remained silent. The galaxy moved on, convinced she was gone forever. But one night, sensors near the Vela black hole picked up something impossible. A signal, a heartbeat, a voice. This is Captain Alara Voss. Tell the council I'm coming back. And when the transmission ended, those who heard it swore they heard laughter. Not broken, not afraid, but strong. A laugh from someone who had faced the abyss and returned smiling. The council chamber was restless. The message had spread across the galaxy like fire in dry grass. Captain Alara Voss, the human they had cast into the black hole, was alive. She had spoken through the void. The High Chancellor slammed his claws on the table. Impossible. Black hole destroys everything. No light, no matter. Nothing returns. But the transmission was real. Dozens of warships had recorded it. Her voice was clear, steady, and mocking. Some alien leaders shivered when they remembered her words. "Tell the Council, I'm coming back." The Council demanded answers. Scientists were dragged from their labs, forced to explain the unexplainable. They stammered about distortions, energy pulses, time fractures, but none of it mattered. The truth was simple. She had survived what no one else could, and that terrified them. Meanwhile, deep within the black hole's strange heart, Ilara was no longer just human. She floated in a sea of light and shadow, where threads of pure energy moved like rivers. They did not crush her, though they could. Instead, they wrapped around her, whispering secrets of stars, time, and gravity. She saw things beyond comprehension: galaxies birthing, stars dying, civilizations rising and collapsing like waves. The voices were always there, soft, endless, ancient. "We're the roots of the universe. We are the memory of creation. And now, human, you are bound to us." At first, Alara thought she was hallucinating, but her body told her otherwise. Her heart beat slower, stronger. Her skin hummed with energy. She no longer felt hunger, pain, or fear. The abyss had remade her, and she accepted it. She whispered, "Into the void. Show me what I must do." The light threads twisted, forming paths guiding her. She followed without hesitation. The black hole was not a prison. It was a forge, and she was the weapon being shaped. Back in normal space, alien warships began to circle the black hole. Some wanted to study it, some wanted to destroy it, and others whispered of abandoning the system altogether. Fear fractured them. One admiral, a reptilian with scales dark as obsidian, sneered at the Council. "You fools thought you erased her. Instead, you may have awakened something far worse." But the Chancellor silenced him. "No one escapes a black hole. She is dead." The signal was a trick of gravity, nothing more. He wanted to believe it. He needed to believe it. But then the sensors screamed again. A ripple came from the black hole. Not random, not chaos. A pattern, a pulse, like a heartbeat. And within it a shape emerged, small at first, growing, a capsule broken, scarred. Glowing with strange energy, drifted back into normal space. The warships locked their weapons. Target confirmed. Fire. Dozens of beams, missiles, and cannons tore through the void, converging on the capsule. The explosion lit up the system like a star. But when the fire faded, she was still there. The capsule cracked open, and Alara stepped into the void, floating without a suit, without oxygen, yet alive. Energy shimmered around her like armor, threads of the black hole itself coiling at her command. Her eyes glowed faintly, and her voice carried across every channel, calm and sharp. "You tried to erase me. Instead, you gave me power." Panic erupted. Some ships tried to retreat, but their engines failed. Space itself bent against them. Alara raised a hand, and the threads of gravity wrapped around one cruiser, crushing it like paper. Another, she twisted until it spun apart, its pieces scattering like dust. The fleet that once terrified her colony was now helpless before her. She did not need weapons. She was the weapon, yet she did not destroy them all. Not yet. She let some. Survive on purpose. Because fear was more powerful than fire. "Run," she said softly, her voice echoing in every ship. "Run back to your council. Tell them what you saw. Tell them I am coming." The surviving warships fled, engines burning, spreading her message faster than any signal. Across the galaxy, whispers grew into dread. The humans were not gone. Humans were not broken. One human had walked through death itself and returned with the abyss at her side, and she was smiling. The survivors of the battle fled faster than light. They did not look back. No one dared to. Their ships were scarred, their voices trembling as they reported to the council. She came back, one captain stammered. She walked in. The void. She bent ships like clay. She is not human anymore. The council chamber erupted in chaos. Some shouted for more fleets. Others demanded retreat from human territory. A few whispered something no one else wanted to hear. Maybe the black hole had given her power beyond anything they understood. The High Chancellor slammed his claws again. She is one woman. Do not forget this. 1. We are the Council of 1,000 worlds. She cannot fight us all. But deep inside, even he was not sure. While the galaxy argued, Alara drifted through the wreckage she had left behind. Pieces of ships floated like broken bones around her. She did not feel pity. She did not feel regret. She felt alive. The black hole's energy pulsed through her veins, whispering constantly. You are not what you were, the voices said. You are more. You are a seed of gravity itself. She clenched her fists, and space trembled around her. The thought of returning to Earth burned in her mind. But Earth was far, and the aliens had destroyed so many human colonies. I knew. What must come first? Fear. Fear would be her weapon. Her smile widened. The first target was chosen. A shipyard orbiting a crimson gas giant. It was one of the Council's largest construction stations, where dreadnoughts were born. Thousands of workers labored there, and dozens of ships stood unfinished in their docks. When Alara appeared, no. Alarm was raised at first. To the workers, she was just a small figure floating in space. But then gravity shifted. Tools, machines, even entire docking arms bent and twisted, as if an invisible hand was crushing them. Panic spread. The alarms? Screamed. Warships scrambled to defend the station. She raised her hand, and the ships froze mid-flight, locked in invisible chains. Metal groaned and cracked. Their crews shouted in terror as they were dragged together, colliding, merging into burning wreckage. The workers tried to flee in shuttles, but the abyss whispered again, "Show them." So she did. She let a single shuttle escape, unharmed. Carrying witnesses who would tell the galaxy what had happened. The shipyard burned, scattering across the gas giant's atmosphere. From the flames, Elara's voice echoed across every frequency. Calm and sharp. This is the price for trying to erase humanity. I was one soldier. Now, I am something more, and I will not stop. Her message spread like wildfire. Entire sectors fell silent, afraid to draw her attention. Shipyards were abandoned. Fleets were recalled. Even planets fortified themselves, building defenses that would not matter. The council met again, but their unity was broken. Some demanded they crush her immediately with overwhelming force. Others warned that attacking would only make her stronger. For the first time in centuries, the council felt true fear in the shadows of the chamber. One old alien leader whispered, "They cast her into the abyss to die, but perhaps the abyss itself chose her. If so, we cannot kill her. We can only hope to survive her." Meanwhile, Alara's journey continued. She drifted through systems once ruled by the council, each time striking at something vital, a supply. Convoy, a command station, a communications hub. She left ruins behind her, but always survivors too. There's always someone left alive to tell the story, because fear travels faster than light. But she was not only hunting, she was listening. The whispers of the black hole guided her, showing her threads of time and gravity, secrets no alien had ever known. She began to understand what she was becoming, not just human, not just soldier, but something beyond. One night, alone in the silence of the stars, she asked the abyss, "Why me?" The answer came soft and endless. Because humans are not afraid to look into the dark, and you smiled when it looked back. Her laugh echoed through the void, cold and certain. She was no longer running from death. She was carrying it with her dot, and soon, the galaxy would understand what it meant to throw a human into a black hole. The council fortress was hidden inside a dying star. It was a place no enemy had ever reached. The heat of the star itself was a shield, and countless fleets patrolled its borders. It was the heart of their power, the throne of their rule. And yet, fear had reached it before Alara ever did. Every corridor of the fortress echoed with whispers. The soldiers spoke of her like she was a ghost, a curse, a shadow that no weapon could touch. They had all heard the recordings. They had all seen the wreckage. One soldier muttered, "They threw her into death itself, and death sent her back." The commander silenced them, but doubt was everywhere. Even the High Chancellor felt it, though he would never admit it. In the black void outside the fortress system, space rippled. Distortion formed, like a wound opening in the fabric of reality. From that wound she appeared, Captain Elara Voss. She did not come with fleets. She did not bring weapons. She came alone, wrapped in the shimmer of the abyss. Her eyes glowed faintly, her presence bending the light around her. She drifted closer, slow and calm, like someone who had already won. The fortress, defense fleets, scrambled into formation. Thousands of ships, locked weapons, ready to unleash fire that could melt moons. The commander's voice cracked as he gave the order. "All batteries, fire!" The void lit up. Beams, missiles, plasma storms, everything they had tore toward her. The star itself seemed to shake under the fury. But when the light cleared, she was still there, untouched, smiling. The abyss whispered, and she answered. With a wave of her hand, the battlefield changed. Gravity itself bent. The warships groaned as invisible chains wrapped around them, pulling them together. Some crushed into each other. Others were hurled into the burning star, their screams ending in fire. Panic filled the channels. She's bending the star. It was true. The dying star pulsed unnaturally, its gravity fields twisting under her command. Flares erupted, swallowing fleets in storms of fire. The Council's strongest shield had become their own executioner. Inside the fortress, alarms screamed. High Chancellor stood tall, but his claws trembled. This is impossible. No single being wields such power. But then her voice echoed through the walls of the fortress itself. Not through speakers, not through comes through the air, the stone, the bones of every being inside. You wanted me erased. You wanted me broken. Instead, you gave me the abyss. And now, I am here to return the gift. The fortress shook, as if the star itself obeyed her. Soldiers dropped their weapons, frozen in terror. Some fled, some prayed. None dared to fight. Elara did not breach the fortress walls. She did not need to. She let the fear spread by itself. She tore apart the fleets, bent the star's fire to her will, and then she stopped, because this was not the end. Not yet. She wanted them to live, to watch, to understand. Your council will fall, she said calmly. Not today. Not tomorrow. But soon, every fleet you send will crumble. Every fortress you hide in will burn. I will not strike blindly. I will strike where it hurts, where you think you are safe. Then, as suddenly as she had appeared, she vanished back into the void, leaving only wreckage and silence. The council fortress still stood, but its pride was broken. Its fleets were ashes. Its leaders trembled. And the galaxy now knew a truth. Far worse than death, the human was not just alive. She was hunting. The council had never faced such fear. Their fleets were shattered, their fortress humiliated, their power mocked by a single human, and yet they could not unite. Some wanted to beg for peace. Others demanded her death, no matter the cost. Finally, they turned to their last weapon, the Shadow Division. No one outside the council knew of it. They were assassins, bred and trained in darkness, designed to kill what fleets could not. Their leader was a being known only as Xylan, a creature with no face, no sound, no mercy. He had ended wars by killing their leaders in silence. Now his mission was clear: find the human, end her. Xylan tracked her through the ruins of systems she had left behind. Every time, he was one step behind: a burnt station, a broken fleet, a colony freed from council control. She was not just destroying, she was planning, shaping fear like a weapon, But at last he found her, a dead moon orbiting a pale star. Ruins scattered its surface, old and forgotten. She was there, standing alone among the wreckage, staring at the sky. Xylan cloaked himself, invisible to eyes, sensors, even sound. He crept closer, his blades ready. No one had ever escaped him, yet Alara spoke without turning her head. "You hide well, but not from me." Xylan froze. His cloak was flawless. She should not have seen him. She should not have known. Slowly she turned, her eyes glowing faintly. Her smile was calm, sharp. "The abyss whispers everything to me. Even your heartbeat," Xylan struck. Faster than thought, his blades sliced through the air, aiming for her throat, her heart, her back. But each strike bent away, as if space itself refused to let him touch her. She did not move. She did not even raise her hand. She only watched as his attacks twisted into nothing. "You were sent to kill me," she said softly. "Do you even believe you can?" For the first time in his life, Xylan hesitated. Doubt cracked through his perfect silence, and in that moment she stepped forward. The ground trembled. Gravity thickened, pressing on him until his knees buckled. His cloak shattered. His body revealed a creature of shadow and blades now. Crushed beneath invisible chains. "You fear me," she whispered, kneeling so her glowing eyes met his faceless mask. "Good. Carry that fear back to your masters." But she did not kill him. She released him. His body collapsed, trembling, broken, not in flesh but in spirit. "Go," she said. "Then the abyss chose me. Tell them I am coming for all of them." Xylan staggered away, his silence gone, his steps clumsy. For the first time, the perfect assassin had failed. For the first time, he knew what terror felt like. When he returned to the council, he did not boast of his attempt. He did not claim she was weak. He only whispered one sentence that chilled every leader in the chamber. "She looked into me." The void looked back. The council chamber fell into silence. No arguments, no defiance, just fear. Because they all knew if their strongest assassin could not touch her, then nothing in their empire could. Meanwhile, on the dead moon, Alara stood alone again. She closed her eyes, listening to the abyss. The whispers grew louder, clearer. They showed her visions of fleets gathering, of worlds trembling, of the council desperate and afraid. And she smiled. The galaxy was not ready, but she was. The council worlds had always been untouchable. Protected by layers of fleets, fortresses, and weapons that could crack planets, they were symbols of power. No enemy had ever reached them. No rebel had ever dared, until now. Alara drifted in the dark between stars. Her eyes closed, her body surrounded by faint threads of gravity. The abyss whispered, guiding her, pulling her toward the heart of her enemies. She had already broken. Their fleets humiliated their fortress and crushed their assassin. But now, it was time to strike where it would matter most. The Council's homeworlds. A cluster of 5 shining planets orbited a massive star, each one rich, armored, and proud. They were the seats of the Council's greatest leaders, the heart of the Empire's control. Billions lived under their shadow, believing the Council untouchable. But fear had already reached them. When Alara's name was spoken, children hid, soldiers trembled, and workers whispered prayers. They knew she was coming, and she did not disappoint. She arrived without a fleet, without a ship, without warning. Space rippled, and suddenly she was there, floating before the Council's star, her presence bending light itself. The fleets reacted instantly. Thousands of warships formed walls of fire, their weapons locked on her. Planetary cannons charged, glowing with deadly energy. The sky itself seemed armed against her. The commander of the defense fleet shouted, his voice shaking but firm, "Target locked. Fire everything." The void exploded. Beams cut across the stars. Missiles screamed through the dark plasma storms. Lit the void like suns was the combined power of 1,000 worlds. Enough to melt continents, enough to erase armies. But when the fire cleared, she was still there, unharmed, smiling, The abyss surged through her veins, and she raised her hand. Gravity screamed. The nearest warships bent, their hulls tearing apart, as if invisible claws ripped them open. Crews screamed as they were hurled into the void. Entire formations collapsed, smashed into one another like toys in a child's hand. Then she turned her eyes to the planets themselves. The leaders inside their palaces stared at the skies in horror as the ground trembled. Oceans shifted. Mountains cracked. Entire cities shook as gravity itself bent against them. One of the counselors shouted in terror, "She's tearing the world apart." But Alara did not crush the planets. Not yet. She was precise. She ripped their defense shields away, tearing them into fragments. She pulled their mighty cannons from the ground, bending them until they cracked like brittle wood. The weapons that had protected them for centuries were gone in moments. Then her voice filled the skies. It's carried on every channel, every screen, every ear. Calm, sharp, unshaken. You thought your power eternal. You thought no one could touch you. But you forgot what humans are. We're the ones who rise when we should fall. We're the ones who walk where no one else dares. You threw me into the abyss. Now, the abyss is yours to face. Her words rolled across the planets like thunder. Billions heard her. Soldiers dropped their weapons. Civilians fell to their knees. And in the council chambers, the leaders could only stare at each other in silence. She could have destroyed them. She could have burned their worlds to ash. But she didn't. She left them alive, stripped of their shields, broken in their pride, forced to see their own weakness, because death was final. Fear was eternal. As she turned and vanished back into the void, the galaxy shook with new whispers. Not just of her power, not just of her survival, but of her purpose. She was no longer simply human, no longer just a soldier. She was the will of the abyss, wearing a smile. And now, the council's throne itself was crumbling. The stars themselves seemed to watch as the war reached its breaking point. Across the galaxy, fleets lay in ruins, planets scarred, and entire civilizations trembling under the weight of humanity's relentless advance. The coalition of alien empires, once confident and united, was now fractured. Their leaders whispered in secret, questioning if survival was even possible. But humanity had not emerged unscathed. Their warships bore the marks of endless battles. Their soldiers carried the weight of countless losses, yet their will remained unbroken. Humanity had one final move left to gamble, so dangerous, so unthinkable, that even their enemies hesitated to believe it could be real. The whispers spread. Across the galaxy like fire, the humans are building something. No one knew what it was. Not a weapon, not a fleet, but something far stranger. Some claimed it was a machine to tear stars apart. Others said it was a device to bend time itself. The truth was hidden deep within the shadow of a dying star, where human engineers and soldiers guarded the project with their lives. The coalition, desperate and afraid, made their own gamble. They prepared one last strike, a suicidal assault, to destroy humanity's secret before it could be unleashed. Fleets from across the surviving empires gathered, uniting not out of loyalty, but out of pure fear. This was no longer a war of conquest. It was survival against a force they could no longer control. And so the stage was set. The largest armada in galactic history assembled, aiming its fury at humanity's final stronghold. Inside, the humans worked tirelessly, racing against time. They knew the enemy was coming. They knew they were outnumbered. But they also knew one truth that had carried them through every battle: humanity only needed one chance. One opening to change the war forever. The last gambit had begun. The sky of the alien capital burned red. Broken ships drifted above like dying giants, their wreckage raining down in fire. But the war was not over, not yet. Deep in the heart of the enemy's homeworld, the core weapon of the conquerors still pulsed with power. It was the device that had enslaved half the galaxy. If it survived, the nightmare would begin again. The humans knew this. That was why they had come. Not with mercy, not with chains, but with fire. Captain Alara stood at the edge of the ruined citadel. Her armor cracked, her visor smeared with blood and ash. Around her, only a handful of soldiers remained. They were outnumbered, outgunned, and almost out of time. But none of them looked afraid, because fear had ended the day humanity chose war. The alien High Council watched from their hidden chamber, their voices trembling. They had studied humans. They had thought them fragile, yet in their final hours they learned the truth. Humans did not stop, even broken, even dying. They fought harder than any creature ever had. The battle for the weapon began in silence. The corridors of the alien fortress were littered with the dead. Each step the humans took left echoes of defiance. The enemy had expected surrender. Instead, they faced a storm. Alara raised her rifle. Her voice was low but steady. Once we destroy their core, it ends. For them, for all of us. The soldiers nodded. Not one hesitated. The final fight erupted like thunder. Alien guards surged forward, but the humans struck with precision, with fury born from centuries of survival on a death world no other species would dare to set foot upon. Every shot, every blade, every drop of blood was a message. We are the last dawn, and we will burn brighter than the night you tried to drown us in. At the heart of the chamber, the core pulsed like a dark star. It screamed with energy, threatening to rip the world apart. Alara reached it, her armor glowing from wounds and fire. She placed the final charge. The enemy's screams filled the chamber. Their empire, their dominion, their centuries of control. Ending. At the hands of those they thought were weak, Alara whispered the last words. The galaxy would ever hear from her. Humanity does not kneel. The explosion tore through the fortress. Light swallowed the city, the planet, the empire itself. And when the dust cleared, only silence remained. But across the stars, survivors whispered of what they had seen. Not machines, not monsters. Humans who had stood against the galaxy's strongest empire and ended it. It was the final dawn, not just for humanity, but for the galaxy itself. For where humans walked, no chains remained unbroken.